Well, that was a musical interlude there. And that's what we got on SmackDown the other night. What was the date of SmackDown? March 15th, a Friday night, Red Letter Day, because we got not only the professional wrestling program, but we got a big singing concert from The Rock, the biggest star in pro wrestling today. I'm trying to find my notes on this show. Here they are. And as I predicted, Brian, I believe a couple weeks ago, as The Rock had asked for, Memphis, Tennessee was sold out for the return of The Rock. And that was the FedEx Forum. Is that 14,000 people, I would assume?
I would assume.
Somewhere around there?
Somewhere around there.
Well, I'm glad you were able to be so specific. So still, Sputnik Monroe, counting the people that knocked the outfield fence down, still has the record. He's got more people, but The Rock is in number 2 place now ahead of Jerry Lawler. So, I mean, right now, they had 25 minutes of The Rock and then an hour and a half of everything else. It's night and day, and they can let him go out there and just do whatever the fuck he wants to do. He's stealing the show. And they opened the show with the tape package of last week's confrontation with Cody and Seth and Roman and blah, 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 that did apparently almost 3 million viewers last week, I believe, again, for their segment on SmackDown. And then The Rock comes out and the place goes batshit, not only because it's The Rock, but now he's been promoting, and everybody knows at this point, that audience, Memphis, my old hometown, I started here. And so now he switched it up because he was, and we're going to talk in a second about how you were exactly right. People hated him when he was trying to be a babyface, but now that he's the greatest heel in the world, people love him. How do you win here? But he got the Rocky chance. He got a huge response, but he changed it up where he didn't torture, scorch Memphis, as he said, because Memphis is different. He's said so many good things about Memphis in previous interviews in the Young Rock or whatever, that he couldn't come out and knock him or it wouldn't be. So he did the Bizarro World thing. Now Brett's back in Canada, but he's still knocking Cody and Seth. And these people ate it up. And it was, from Plug-in Channel 5, got a big pop, telling individual people in the audience that he loved them, and that finally The Rock has come back home.
He's done that before. He did that, I think, at the Garden.
Well, he's a rich man. He's got more than one house.
Yeah, Rocky Johnson traveled around a lot, so now he can go to every single town they run SmackDown in and say he's home.
Well, he once lived in fucking Halifax, Nova Scotia. But anyway, this was a kind of a stand-up routine that turned into a concert. Would you want The Rock to sing a song? If he'd have said, would you like to watch The Rock take a shit? Yes, God, yes. And I'd like to hear it. Here it goes. He's got a Grammy-nominated guy on the guitar and a Memphis guy on the harmonica. But it worked. These guys, they just do the fucking harmonica guitar strum thing, and it fucking worked. And he sang a blues song about Cody and Seth. And suddenly he's BB King with the patter in between the verses. I'm just...
now this is getting ridiculous. He's BB King?
He was BB King.
BB King?
With the patter in between the verses.
The king of the blues. He's the king of the blues now?
Yes, he is. And he's right down there on Beale Street. Okay, you go out there and give that delivery and figure out how to sing that song with these two yahoos standing on the announce desk with a guitar and a harmonica. And saying about I can't do the music.
He had to put his reading glasses on. He has reading glasses on so he can read the script that Gewirtz wrote for him for the song.
Well, but he got all of it in before the harmonica stopped playing.
I'm gonna say something and I'll let you continue with the review so I don't interrupt you anymore. This concert thing, the singing thing was so stupid and lame. And this is everything that is lame about The Rock. The promo he did after it was exactly the right thing for The Rock. But this is bad. And here's the other problem. People are going to say right now, hey, what about the Raw review? Where's the Raw review? You didn't watch Raw. You didn't see the Cody Rhodes promo.
Well, I forgot.
A really strong promo from Cody, but a very different tone. Cody cried. Cody was crying because of trying to win this for his mom and because of the pressure, and he needs to complete his story. So you have him crying, and you have The Rock turning into Andrew Dice Clay and doing insult humor, and then doing babyface things. He was a babyface here. So you don't help. This is what I was afraid of, like you said before. You don't help your top babyface when your top heel is doing things to get cheered.
And when nobody can touch this stuff. And I'm sorry you didn't like the concert.
It was lame and slow.
I thought you had musical taste. The next thing you're going to tell me you don't like my singing. I can't. Well, you wouldn't be that crazy.
I know my singing. Your singing's terrible.
Yes, it's the real Pips. It's the Adam's apple.
The real Pips.
But yeah, all of them, all 4 of them.
3 of them.
I thought there was 4.
Well, unless you're counting Gladys Knight as one of the Pips. Is Gladys Knight a Pip?
Was there a lost Pip? Did they have to downsize?
Pip Sabian.
Pip Sabian, the lost Pip. Anyway, back to The Rock. I loved the concert because what a fucking performance. And yes, that's the thing. He's still being an asshole and he's knocking the baby faces, but because he's so incredible at it, they're cheering the fuck out of him. And it was Memphis. And he made a big deal out of it being Memphis. He could have run for fucking mayor and won here.
But he shouldn't have. That's the point.
But, well, exactly. That's part of the point. Remember I said when he came out to be a babyface, people fucking hated him, didn't want him in the match, and started booing him. So now he's become a heel. But since he's the greatest heel in the goddamn world by such a wide margin, the people are going to cheer every fucking smart-ass thing he says. But they worked with him somewhat when he got serious at the end and started crossing the line with his inappropriate comments about Cody's mother and etc. To where that I believe they started working about, ooh, we shouldn't say that. But that's what, when he cut the promo on Cody, slapping him last week, and then mentioned, well, Cody showed up on Raw, and what's he going to say? And that's where I realized, shit, I forgot to watch. And they showed a clip of him crying when he was saying that his father wasn't here anymore for him to hand that belt to when he wins it, but he can hand that belt to his mother. And say it looked like a pretty impactful promo.
And now Rock's cutting promos on Twitter and on the show on Cody's mother. So again, the heel's doing things that the babyface is getting nothing for. The babyface is just taking it, but the heel's getting more cheers. The heel's doing more babyface things. This is the problem. You're throwing off the whole dynamic. You're going to spoil the match before it happens.
Do you think Michelle's going to be in the front row and get to slap The Rock?
Really, Cody should go out there and go, you want to talk about my family? Your grandmother was the least successful promoter ever, and you're putting her in the Hall of Fame. At least I'm honest about my family. I don't pretend like every one of my family belongs in a Hall of Fame. And then he inducts his mom into the Hall of Fame.
Well, there you go. You're a Rock hater.
I am a Rock truther. Well, I hate to use the word truther. I tell the truth about The Rock. When he's good, I say it. When he's lame, I say it. I don't pretend like he wants everyone to pretend like his shit doesn't stink. It does. You just got to call it out. The concert was lame as fuck and unnecessary and changes the dynamic too much in the feud. The promo at the end was strong. That was great. But this is coming off Cody crying on Raw. And then The Rock's coming out here like a stand-up doing a routine. It's ridiculous. Throws off the whole balance. The Rock leaning into the heel stuff is the right thing. But be a heel. Be a heel that fans want to throw garbage at, not a heel that the fans want to laugh with.
An unbalanced Rock is what you're saying.
I guess.
Yes.
I guess.
Well, all I can say is what The Rock said when he hands Mama Rhodes the weight belt that he's going to beat her son bloody with. And he's going to sing to her, Michelle, what can I say except you're welcome?
That was a killer line. That was a brilliant killer line. Because I don't know if you would know it, that's a song he sang in a Disney movie.
Well, I knew that.
That's why it got such a big reaction. It wasn't just from his singing, it was the specific song he was singing.
I thought it was because the note he hit. Actually, I didn't have any idea what he was doing there. But if you smell what the final boss is cooking, at 25 minutes, just give him the whole show. Because fuck it, then I don't even need to see the pay-per-view. I just want to watch the show every week if he's on it all the time.
The problem is when you start the show with a long thing like this, it makes it hard to get through the rest of it when you know there's going to be nothing else even of this caliber. You almost have to end the show with a segment like this because at least then you sit through everything. I kind of was in and out the rest of the show.
Oh, well, in that case, Brian, I can tell you in very brief terms what you missed. You missed the heel luchadors fighting the babyface luchadors.
That was on last week's show, I believe. And the week before that.
They did it again.
Oh.
And then you missed an LA Knight promo.
Oh, I saw this.
Okay, in the entranceway. They've smartened up. They just need to let LA Knight go out and talk to you. And he cut the promo on AJ Styles and called him out, and AJ wasn't there. He called him Napoleon Styles. And so he did his promo, and the people are with him, and he challenged AJ for a match at WrestleMania. You can show up there, maybe. And then AJ comes from behind with a chair and whacks him and sits on him and accepts. So, yes, they can service the people quite well by just letting LA Knight come out and talk, but I don't think he needs to end up on his back more often than not at the end of talking. Do you?
I was just about to ask you, haven't they cooled him off too much in the last few months since The Rock came in?
I think, well,
not that it's his fault, but it just threw off the dynamic of who was in the main event and who wasn't.
Well, not only cooled him off, but maybe just everybody else is he's interacting with AJ Styles. Before he was interacting with Roman Reigns or with the top. Now he's interacting with AJ, and there's a bunch more people ahead on the pecking order. Orton's back, et cetera, et cetera. And then they do the deal where Logan Paul is telling Nick Aldis that he expected Aldis to fine or discipline Orton for last week. At least Orton owes an apology. And Aldis tells, well, Logan, why don't you go ask Randy Orton for an apology in person? And Logan Paul, well, I guess I will since you can't do your job well, or whatever the fuck he's saying. But then we get Grayson Waller versus Randy Orton. So Austin Theory's in the corner and Logan Paul comes out for color, but now it's 9:00 by the time this thing started. That's all we've seen on the show is basically The Rock and And then we got to see Waller, which is like watching George Goulas. There's no physique.
Oh, come on. There's
an awkwardness there of just existing, unnatural body movements.
George Goulas, that's a big insult considering what everyone always says about George Goulas.
Well,
he's not that bad. He's not that bad.
Somebody always, even if you're the absolute worst wrestler of all time, sooner or later, somebody's going to come along. It's even worse.
He did nothing as ridiculous as Austin Theory's bump here.
Oh, well, that's where I was going. Because finally, Orton, the finish, he gives Waller the DDT. Theory pops up and pulls Waller out to the floor, so Orton gives Theory the DDT, and then RKO's Waller, and 1, 2, 3 pins him. But then Theory gets Orton from behind, and he's holding him for Logan Paul. And Logan Paul's going to give him the big punch with the titanium fist or whatever the fuck. And here comes Owens. And to make the save, Owens gives Theory a stunner. And once Owens landed on his ass, Theory waits like 2 seconds and takes a big giant leap behind and backward, back and to the right. This may be analyzed by the Warren Commission.
A big giant leap back into the right. What
A
else?
big giant
Want to reference
leap
from the 60s.
back into the right on like I said, a 2-second delay, and Orton grabbed him with the RKO. And it was so bad. And
Yeah.
I can exactly what it is now Theory has reached the point where he realizes they were using me. I had all these opportunities. I had the belt. Now I'm the flunky of this annoying fucking Australian, and I'm beaten all the time, and he's trying too hard to get noticed. He knows that his last thing that he can do, that he can't control whether he wins a match. He can't control whether he gets a big interview and gets to tell people off and somebody else doesn't shit on his face. He can't control the time he gets on screen, but he takes great athletic bumps and all that shit. So now he's trying too hard to do that. And it was it did not fucking work at all. It was one of the more cartoony things you'll see on that fucking show, which imagine how much territory that takes in. And so then Nick Aldis came out, and the U.S. title match with Logan Paul defending is going to be versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton in a 3-way triple threat match at WrestleMania. And I said,
Boo! Boo!
Yeah. Hold on here 1 second.
I was actually looking forward to Orton versus Logan Paul more than any Orton match in recent memory.
Yeah. And that got shot down. So we lost good. The card that they did have is looking better than the card we're getting. We lost Gunther and Brock. And now it's
Cody and Rollins.
Cody and Rollins.
I mean, CM Punk and Rollins, excuse me.
Punk and Rollins. Yeah, there you go. I was going to say Cody and Rollins. We haven't lost that one. That one got metamorphosized. But anyway, so then on the program, Dragon Lee fought Pablo Escobar. Escobar won. The heels got more heat. Carlito made the save. They stopped Carlito. Rey Mysterio came out. Escobar bailed out, and Mysterio asked for a match next week. So we'll keep an eye on that fluid situation. And then apparently they were running long because of the concert in the first segment, because Purely Dreary and Butch and Bait opened at the bell with no entrances or introductions or anything. Just ding, here we go. And it was like, it's WWE's version of AEW. It's wrestling with children for children. Between the two with the long hair and the fishnet outfits and the other two guys that, are vertically challenged to say the least. It's just, do you take these people seriously at the appearance of them?
I don't. I skipped the match too.
Very good. And finally, the main event was Bayley versus Dakota Kai. And of course, Sky and Sane and Oscar were in the corner of Kai. And they rang the bell with 10 minutes left in the show, went a minute and went to the break. So I thought maybe something's going to happen. A sinkhole will open up under the ring at the end, so I'll see the finish. And basically what happened was Bayley tossed Dakota Kai out to the floor, and then all three of the heels jumped into the ring. And Bayley starts fighting them, and she nails a couple, but then she faces off with Sky, and the referee is standing there watching this whole thing. And then when they get in a fight, Sky and Bayley, then the referee suddenly rings the bell like he's seen a ghost and calls for the disqualification. And I was trying to figure out, did they tell him, like, as soon as, Bayley and Sky start fighting and he didn't know the other two were going to jump in first? I don't know what the fuck. But then after he rings the bell and calls for the disqualification, there are three women 5 feet of height or under attacking Bayley, and the male referee just jumps out to the floor and doesn't even try to restrain any of the heels from doing this. And then here comes Naomi. And Naomi hits the ring, but the heels beat her up. And then one of the girls, the heels, I'm not sure whether it was Sky or Carrie but she climbed up to the top while the other girls were holding Bailey and did a moonsault. And Brian, did you see the moonsault or had you zoned out by this point?
I was zoned out by this point.
Okay. Two of the girls, one's got each leg, right? And one of the girls has Bailey's arms, so they've stretched her out where she's like a hammock in between them above the mat, right? And the other girl goes to the top to do the moonsault, and obviously it's like the Vegematic principle. When you moonsault and she's going to hit her in the midsection, it's going to go boom, boom, and look like even worse impact. So you got this picture, right?
Right.
Guess where she moonsaulted her and landed?
On her face?
On her fucking face.
Oh.
Landed right across her fucking face. And the girl holding her hands even had to lean back some like, shit, you almost got me. And that was the end of the show.
All right, that was SmackDown. He's ripping up these notes now, ladies and gentlemen. That's how disgusted he was with everything after his number one boy toy, The Rock, had his.
Well, I love the Rock came out there. The Rock was like Bobby Blue Bland.
Oh, come on.
The Rock was like Brian Melajelli.
All right. Well, Blind Jimmy Johnson over here, or whatever we want to call
you. The Rock was like Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Bleeding Gums Murphy. All right. Well, I'm going to be like Howlin' Wolf, and I'm going to get out of here in a moment.